Right, I have a confession to make. I spent 45 minutes in Marks & Spencer last Saturday. 45 minutes, just wandering around the food hall.
Ha! Did you actually need anything, or were you just browsing?
I went in for milk. I came out with a Colin the Caterpillar cake and some Percy pigs. And I am not ashamed.
That is the most British supermarket story I've ever heard. It's the perfect way to kick off today's episode. We're talking all about the British supermarket experience.
Which sounds ordinary, right? But I think the supermarket says so much about British culture. It's almost a social institution.
A social institution? That's a bold claim. But actually, I think you're right. Which supermarket you shop at in Britain says something about you. There's almost a class system built around it.
There really is. So, broadly speaking, you've got your budget supermarkets at one end, places like ALDI and Lidl, which are German but hugely popular here now. Then in the middle, the big everyday ones, Tesco, Sainsbury's, Asda, Morrison's. And at the top, the premium ones, Waitrose and Marks & Spencer.
Right, yeah, and people are very loyal to their supermarket, aren't they? You ask someone where they shop and they either say it very proudly or get slightly defensive about it.
Exactly. Nobody says I shop at Waitrose without a tiny bit of self-awareness.
So what is Waitrose actually like for anyone who hasn't been? Because I know it has this reputation.
So Waitrose is very clean, very calm. The staff are always incredibly polite. And everything costs a little bit more than you expect. You pick something up, look at the price, and quietly put it back down.
That's so accurate. But the quality really is there. Their own brand products are genuinely good.
Oh, absolutely. And Waitrose has this great perk. If you have a My Waitrose loyalty card, you get a free hot drink when you visit. Just a coffee or tea. And I think that single thing has won over a whole generation of fans who couldn't quite afford to do a full weekly shop there.
So clever. Okay, but let's talk about Marks & Spencer. M&S is a completely different kind of experience. It's not really a full supermarket, is it?
No, that's a good point. M&S is technically a department store. Clothes, homeware, all of that. But the food hall is what people really love. It's not a place for a full weekly shop. It's more of a treat destination.
A treat destination, yes. And they had that famous campaign, "This is not just food, this is M&S food," said in this very dramatic, luxurious way. Did you ever see those adverts?
Oh, everyone remembers those. They became a bit of a joke because they were so over the top. A camera slowly zooming in on a chocolate pudding, while a smooth voice described it in the most dramatic terms. But the food really was good, so it worked.
It worked because the product backed it up. You mentioned Percy pigs earlier. Can you explain what those are, for listeners who might not know?
Right, yes. Percy pigs are these little pink pig-shaped sweets, what Americans might call candy. They're soft and fruity, and an M&S classic for decades. There's a whole range now, but the original pink Percy is still the favourite. Give a British person one, and they'll immediately feel about 8 years old again.
That's so sweet. Okay, let's talk about some classic British supermarket products. Things you might find quite surprising if you're not from here.
Oh yes. Let's start with crumpets. A crumpet is a round flatbread with lots of tiny holes in it. You toast it, and the butter melts down through all those little holes. Just wonderful. You eat them for breakfast or as an afternoon snack. Very cosy, very British.
They really are, and very cheap too, which I love. What about Yorkshire puddings? Those are everywhere in the freezer aisle.
Yorkshire puddings are made from a batter, eggs, flour and milk, baked in the oven with hot oil so they puff up into crispy, golden cups. They're served with a Sunday roast, the classic British Sunday lunch, with gravy inside. They're savoury, not sweet, despite being called a pudding, which confuses a lot of people.
Yes, pudding in British English is so confusing. It can mean dessert in general, but Yorkshire puddings are completely savoury. British English really is a mystery sometimes.
It really is. Now, we have to mention Marmite, perhaps the most divisive food in Britain. It's a dark brown, very salty paste made from yeast extract. You spread it very thinly on toast. The slogan is, "Love it or hate it," because nobody is ever in the middle.
Where do you stand on Marmite, Edward?
Love it, genuinely. On hot buttered toast in the morning, there's nothing better. But I completely understand why people are horrified by it. The smell alone can clear a room.
Okay, let's talk about the meal deal. I think it's absolutely essential to understanding British supermarket culture, especially for people who work in cities.
The meal deal. Yes. So a meal deal is a lunchtime offer that almost every supermarket does. For around £3 to £4, a few euros or dollars, you get a main, usually a sandwich or wrap, a snack like crisps or fruit, and a drink. It's brilliant value for lunch in an expensive city.
And there's a whole strategy around choosing your meal deal. You want to maximise the value. Pick the most expensive sandwich, the priciest drink in the deal.
Absolutely. It becomes a little game. You're in front of the sandwich fridge working out which combination gives the best value. And everyone takes it seriously. Pick something that would only have cost 50 pence on its own, and you've failed the meal deal.
Ha! The pressure. Now, we also have to talk about queuing. It's such a British thing, and the supermarket is one of the best places to observe it.
Oh, queuing, the British national sport. In Britain, queuing, standing in an orderly line and waiting your turn, is taken extremely seriously. You do not push in. You do not skip ahead. And if someone does, the whole queue will silently disapprove in a very British way, tutting, sighing, exchanging glances with strangers.
The tutting. For listeners who don't know, tutting is making a short clicking sound with your tongue, like tut, to show disapproval. Very subtle, but very loaded with meaning in Britain.
A single tut in the right context says everything. The supermarket checkout is where you see this most clearly. There's usually a main queue feeding into multiple tills, the checkouts, and you wait your turn until a cashier calls you over. Woe betide anyone who tries to sneak to a different queue.
Ha! Woe betide. That means something bad will happen to them. Very dramatic. Now, what about self-checkouts? Those have completely changed the experience, haven't they?
Self-checkouts, where you scan your own shopping and pay without a cashier, have been in British supermarkets for around 20 years now, and they have a very complicated relationship with the British public. People use them constantly, but complain about them just as constantly.
Because they always go wrong. There's that voice. Unexpected item in the bagging area, which sends everyone into a panic.
Ha! Yes. Unexpected item in the bagging area is genuinely iconic in British culture now. The machine thinks you've put something in the bag that you haven't paid for, so it freezes, flashes red, and you have to wait for a staff member to come over and press a button. And somehow, this happens to everyone, every single time.
Every time. Even when you've done nothing wrong. You go bright red because you feel like everyone's watching, even though you're completely innocent.
The self-checkout shame is real. And then, there's the age verification. If you're buying alcohol or certain medications, the machine stops and a staff member has to check your face, decide you look old enough, and press a button. Very undignified for everyone involved.
And yet despite all of this, people still choose the self-checkout because they think it'll be faster. The optimism is admirable.
It rarely is faster, but hope springs eternal. One more thing I want to mention is the British weekly shop, doing all your food shopping for the week in one go, usually at the weekend. A whole Saturday morning can be spent on it. For many families, it's almost a ritual.
And the car park is absolute chaos at the weekend for that reason. Everyone having the same idea at the same time.
Saturday morning at a big Tesco is not for the faint-hearted. But there is something very satisfying about coming home with a full fridge, knowing you're sorted for the week.
It really is. Okay, time for our language breakdown, where we look at the useful words and phrases that came up naturally in today's conversation.
Great. So our first word today is treat. We said M&S is a treat destination. A treat is something special, not an everyday thing, a little luxury. As a noun, this chocolate cake is a real treat. As a verb, I'm going to treat myself to a nice meal tonight. It means to give yourself something special.
Love that one. Our second expression is meal deal. It's a special offer where you buy a set combination of lunch items for one fixed price. Deal, in English, means a good agreement or a bargain, something where you feel you're getting good value. So a meal deal is literally a deal on a meal.
Good one. Third, to queue. To queue means to stand in a line and wait for your turn. It's spelled Q-U-E-U-E. 4 of the 5 letters are silent. As a verb, we had to queue for 20 minutes. As a noun, there was a long queue at the checkout. And in British English, you join the queue, not get in line like Americans say.
Number 4, peckish. If you're peckish, you're a little bit hungry, not starving, just slightly wanting a snack. I'm feeling a bit peckish, I might get a crumpet. It's a casual, soft way to say you're hungry. Very British in its understatement.
And our fifth phrase, to splurge. To splurge means to spend more money than usual on something, often as a treat or on an impulse. I don't usually shop at M&S, but I splurged today. Or, I splurged on a really nice bottle of wine. It has a slightly guilty, indulgent feeling, like you know you probably shouldn't, but you did it anyway.
That's such a good word. Right, that brings us to the end of today's episode of Everyday English Unlocked. We hope you enjoyed joining us for a wander around the British supermarket, virtually at least.
If you're ever visiting Britain, we genuinely recommend popping into an M&S food hall or a Waitrose just for the experience, even if you only come out with Percy Pigs.
Especially if you come out with Percy Pigs. If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe so you never miss a new conversation. And if you want more listening practice with real, natural English, you're in exactly the right place.
We'll see you in the next one. Thanks so much for listening.
Bye for now.